Hi everyone, welcome to our program, The Word for Today. The reading is taken from the book of the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 10, verse 34a and 37 to 43, and speaks about Peter's address in Cornelius' house. This text is part of the whole book of the Acts of the Apostles, which speaks about the disciples' first missions and the sympathizers who becomes part of the disciples' small group. We read this in the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 6, verse 1 to chapter 12, verse 25. This section begins with the institution of the 7 deacons, as we read in Acts chapter 6, verse from 1 to 7. While it ends with the return of Paul and Barnabas, who had just completed their mission in Jerusalem. We read this in the book of Acts, chapter 12, from verse 24 to 25. We read in the text of today that Peter is improving in his understanding about the mission to which he is called, that starts with his inner acceptance about everything concerning Christ's resurrection as an event for everyone. God's life is now offered for everyone. For those who turn to God, He opens His arms wide without distinguishing anyone. The announcement of the resurrection is also an invitation to repentance. We read, "Of Him all the prophets bear witness, that through His name everyone who believes in Him receives forgiveness of sins." We read this in the Acts chapter 10, verse 43. For us today, this text shows before that events concerning Christ's death and resurrection are not separated from all His life. These events are alive in the testimony of the apostles. All that Jesus did and taught, from the baptism of John to the ascension, now becomes the content of the preaching of the apostles. As someone who is alive, Christ becomes the judge of the living and the dead. This expression means that He entered as the first in the place of death, so that He might save all for the kingdom of His Father. This eternal life is now the life offered to all who accept the salvation proclaimed by the apostles. The church has received this gift from the apostles to invite, to call, and to offer this gift for all, and never judge anyone. The most important thing now is not to belong to a specific race or belong to a chosen people, but the answer that each person gives to this invitation for salvation offered without distinction. Amen.